Wow, wasn't that something? Our students are truly, truly awesome. Yes, someone agrees, someone agrees. Wow. You know, I need to thank all of you for being here today. This is just one of those special moments in the life of an academic institution where the entire community comes together to celebrate what they have built together. For all of us who teach here, who work here, it is absolutely inspiring to see the community come, embrace us, and celebrate with us. You know, I'm someone who's been working in higher education for a long time. I've always thought that a good society doesn't only build bridges and roads to connect us, or armies to protect us. It doesn't only build hospitals to heal us. A good society also invests in educating our youth, in cultivating the arts, in advancing the sciences, in expanding our understanding of what it means to be human. This is the hallowed purpose of the university, to help us be a freer, fairer, happier society. It is no coincidence that a nation that was founded on the principles of individual rights and liberties, and that has championed those principles around the world, would go on to build the world's best universities. Our namesake, George Mason, argued that a good society must guarantee individual rights and liberties. He, like other Virginians of his time, Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, George Washington, and others, knew that freedom and self-government were the key to a prosperous society, but also that freedom and self-government could only be achieved through education. George Washington, in fact, went on to argue for a national university, and Thomas Jefferson, as we all know, went on to create one, the University of Virginia, which is our mother institution. The very motto of this university, freedom and learning, two very powerful words, remind us of that fundamental idea, that not only one needs to be free to be able to learn, but that one cannot be truly free without learning. Some people get cause and effect wrong. I can assure you American universities didn't become strong because America prospered. America prospered because it built strong universities. Universities don't just happen out of nowhere. They are built, they're created, they're nurtured by their community. And I can assure you one thing, when I look around this morning and I see the community that we have around us, I see a bright future for this university, but I also see a bright future for our community because of it. I have seen firsthand the impact that universities have in lives. As some of you know, I came to this country, like many young people from around the world do, because this country offered the best education in the world. In my case, it was 1991. It was the year that the Soviet Union collapsed and that the internet was first made commercially available. I know I'm dating myself. I was able to pursue my dream in my case because I received a Fulbright scholarship, which was a joint effort of the governments of the United States and Spain. I landed at Georgia Tech as a computer engineer who was hoping to study psychology, something, by the way, that Spain would not have allowed. My years at Georgia Tech truly and deeply changed my life, intellectually, professionally, and very personally. I fell in love with psychology. I fell in love with the intellectual freedom that only happens at a great American university. More importantly, I also fell in love with a fellow student by the name of Beth Fraser of Florence, Alabama, who for some reason, still unexplained, agreed to marry me and move to Spain with me, and I would like to thank her as my life companion. Thank you, baby. She had no idea what she was getting herself into. But in Spain, she thrived. In fact, she became the first American to be granted tenure at her university, Carlos III. And she brought into the world 2 children, Alex and Emily, who are both of our biggest source of pride. Thank you. As a family, we have lived a wonderful adventure together. And it's incredible that in a way, life has brought us to the place where it all began, to a great American university. Our lives have been transformed in profound ways by higher education. So it's therefore an honor, a privilege really, to be given the opportunity to make a contribution to the education of others by serving as president of George Mason University. I will do my best to discharge my responsibilities with integrity and creativity, and to be a champion for George Mason University and higher education at large in the United States and around the world. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my background, since some of you may be interested in where I come from. I grew up in the great city of Madrid. Those of you who have not visited Madrid yet, you have to put Madrid on your bucket list. Madrid is obviously known because it has the best soccer in the world, a fact that is contested only by people who choose to ignore the facts, but that's a story for another day. Madrid also has the best nightlife and the best art in the world. It's a really remarkable city. Now, when we were growing up, and I was the second of 4 brothers, and when we were growing up, like many families did at the time, we spent our summers in my mother's hometown, El Torno. Now, this is a town that is in it's a beautiful town in the mountains of Extremadura. This is the poorest place in Spain. And there we were able to run free and swim in the creeks and climb trees and get ourselves into trouble. Now, we very quickly learned the magic words to get ourselves out of trouble. And those words were, I am, in fact, in Spanish it would be, soy el nieto de don Cesario el maestro. I am the grandson of don Cesario, the teacher. And boy, did that change the conversation. We were always received with stories about how much my granddad had done for them, how much my granddad had changed their lives. So I grew up thinking that there was nothing else that anybody can do really professionally better than being in education. So I really think that as far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be an educator, just like Granddad. Now, interestingly, my mom didn't go to high school, let alone college, because her parents didn't have the money, and they could only afford to send one of their kids, and they chose to send the boy. My dad didn't go to college either, because he had to work. He was in Madrid at the time. He had to work in the family business. So it is really remarkable to me that there is only one generation that separates that girl in Extremadura, whose biggest event of the year was the trip into town, literally in a truck full of cattle 15 miles away, and that boy that had to work from dawn to dusk to help the family. That generation, only one generation separates them from us. Interestingly, I learned my parents grew up during the Franco dictatorship. One of the things I learned is that dictators don't care as much about higher education as the founders of this nation. But only one generation separates us. One generation, loving parents, and great public education. That's what did it. So what makes me incredibly excited about being part of George Mason University is that stories like mine are not unusual. In fact, stories like mine are precisely what we're about. That's what we do day in and day out. I'll tell you, first alum that I met during my journey to Mason was an alumna by the name of Lovie Hamill. Now, Lovie contacted me, and she said, would you be willing to hear about us? She had volunteered. She was on the board, and she had volunteered to lead the search process. And so she asked me to meet her in Dallas, and she brought another visitor, Carol Kirby, and we had a top secret meeting in Dallas. And she told me about her story of how she grew up in Northern Virginia, how she found her way to Mason, how she created a business, how she couldn't come full-time to Mason because she was working very hard with her mom creating a business. That business, by the way, grew to becoming a very successful $60 million staffing business in Northern Virginia, and she went on to changing many, many lives, serving on many good causes, and making a big difference in the lives of many, many people. It was her pride in the way she talked about how Mason changed her life that really made me want to be here. After I decided to join George Mason, I would learn about the stories of other fascinating people. In fact, one of them, a woman by the name of Zainab Salbi, had been a hero of mine for many years before I decided to join Mason. Zainab grew up in Iraq, in Baghdad, and her childhood had been marked by a personally witnessing the cruelty of Saddam Hussein's regime, and also by suffering the consequences of the Iran-Iraq War. Eventually, she was able to leave the country, landed in Northern Virginia. She had to really interrupt her studies in Iraq. A few years later, she found her way to George Mason. Here, she studied sociology, women's studies. She really grew as a woman. But also, she started learning about some of the injustices that happen around the world. In particular, she started learning about how, in places like Yugoslavia, rape was being used as a tool of terror and oppression, and she couldn't bear it. So with the help and encouragement of several of her professors, she went on to create an organization called Women for Women International, where women, it's a sister-to-sister support system. 400,000 women from around the world have been helped and given hope because of her idea. It all started here at Mason. She's a true rock star. Yeah. Not only young senators need water in the middle of their speeches. I'll tell you another story. And this is one that many of you met during December's convocation, Anousheh Ansari. In fact, she's also from the Middle East. She was from Iran. And she was always a very curious and driven woman, and she had dreams. In fact, she used to tell her friends back in Iran that one day she wanted to fly into space. Yeah, right. Don't we all want to fly into space? Eventually, she came to the United States. She landed in Northern Virginia. She came to Mason. She studied engineering. She graduated. She and her husband created a telecommunications business that was a roaring success. Eventually, they sold the business. They became very, very wealthy. And she found out that the Russians had the opportunity for her to train as a backup astronaut. So she went to Russia to train as a backup astronaut, knowing that that probably would be as close as she would get to being an astronaut. Turns out 2 days before launch, the lead astronaut got sick, and she flew into space. She became the first Iranian to fly into space. Really. Now, those are just 3 vignettes, and you would say, well, what do they have in common? Lovie Hamill, Zainab Salbi, Anousheh Ansari, very, very different women. And yet they have one thread in common. They were all what in higher education we call non-traditional students. These are people who don't fit the mold of traditional education. They do not have the opportunity of just leaving everything and applying and moving to a dorm and living for 4 years in a nice college and getting their degree and then moving on with their lives. They cannot do that. And it was a place like Mason that did have room for them. So when you think about those 4 words, idea, that's the magic of Mason. Innovation, diversity, entrepreneurship, access. And in fact, the way it works is in a different sequence. Because we're accessible, We bring in a diversity of people and ideas that fuels innovation. Innovation fuels action. Action changes the world. That is what higher education is all about. We change the world one person at a time. That's what we do. Thank you. Let me give you another example, just to explain it better as a good professor. This is how it works. In the School of Conflict Analysis and Resolution, we have two colleagues by the name of Mark Gopin and Aziz Abu Sarah, who, with many other colleagues, they work in resolving very tough conflicts around the world. In fact, they work in Israel, they work in Syria. They have a center called the Center for Religion, Conflict Analysis and Resolution, Religion, Diplomacy, and Conflict Analysis and Resolution. That's the official name. Now, here's the funny thing about this group. Mark is a New York rabbi. Aziz is a Palestinian Muslim. Aziz grew up, like most Palestinian youth do, very angry, very frustrated about what they thought was an unjust situation for them. At some point in time, by the way, Aziz decides to change his life, and he decides, among other things, to create an organization where he's been bringing together for several years Israeli parents who've lost children in the conflict with Palestinian parents who've lost children in the conflict. He's brought parents and parents together because only a parent who has gone through that can comfort another one. Absolutely amazing stuff. Well, somehow these two individuals have gotten together and they're doing an amazing job understanding how conflict happens around the world. Think about it. Again, the Mason magic at work. We bring unexpected, very different people together. New ideas emerge. Ideas fuel action. Action changes the world for the better. That's what universities do. We change the world one life at a time. Now, this formula, by the way, is not a new formula. In fact, I've learned this formula from two great individuals who are sitting in front right here today, Dr. Alan Merton, Dr. George Johnson, who together add up 34 years of leadership in higher education. By the way, this just doesn't happen. Other than here, maybe James Madison University, it just does not happen to have this stable, effective leadership. They, by the way, responded to the needs that this university had at their time. They were able to look into the future and prepare the university to anticipate those challenges. That is the challenge of our generation. We've been handed an amazing institution from the prior generation, from faculty, colleagues, community, that under the leadership of Dr. Johnson and Dr. Merton made this happen. Now it is our turn to understand the world we live in, to look into the future, and to try to prepare us to be successful. So to do that, what we did is to create a process to listen to members of our community, and we spent several months. By the way, thank you, my dear board, for giving me those months. Over 4,000 people participated. We had physical meetings, we had online meetings, student, faculty, staff, volunteers, friends, community leaders. We've had so many discussions about what makes Mason different and unique and what can help us go into the future. And from that work, we sketched a new vision for the university. It's not a plan, it doesn't have all the details, it is a vision. Take it as an impressionist rendition, as a watercolor of the future that we envision together. So what's in that picture? Well, imagine a university where students aren't just acquiring knowledge, they're helping create it. Imagine a university community whose reach is not limited by physical locations and buildings, but that is expanded by technology and the internet and partnerships with organizations around the world. Imagine a university that has fewer and fewer barriers for students with talent who aren't defined as traditional, but who are ready to grow and to make a difference. Imagine a university where faculty are only producing breakthroughs in science and the humanities and the arts, but who are putting their ideas into practice every day to find solutions to the greatest challenge in our nation and around the world, to find new cures for our physical and our social ailments. Imagine a university that is at the very center of a cultural and economic renaissance in this region, that is helping incubate new businesses, that is helping drive innovation, that is helping the region become one of the best places in the world to live a full life. Imagine a university that is focused on the well-being of its community, that is attracting the best talent from around the world because it allows everybody to thrive together. Imagine a university that is not constrained by scarcity, but that is empowered by an abundance of resources that it helps create. I hope these elements, by the way, of this picture don't sound too unfamiliar to you, because the fact is we do a lot of this already here. We help many students become creators, not just learners. We use the internet to help nurses, many graduating from our wonderful community colleges, including the Northern Virginia Community College, and complete their bachelor's degrees here. We help students in Africa to learn economic development through a great online program. We even have aspiring theater stars learning from a Golden Globe winning actor whose classes are beamed into our classrooms. Our faculty are investigating new treatments for cancer. They're spinning off companies to take those drugs into market. They're helping police officers reduce crime. Our historians are building digital archives to empower anyone to experience history. Our economists have helped derail plans by some countries to maybe curb the freedom in the internet and are helping international organizations to keep the internet free. We are the home to world-class artistic and athletic performances. We still remember their wonderful 2006 run to the Final Four, don't we? We advise local entrepreneurs on creating and growing businesses. We work with high school and community colleges to make sure that talented students beat the odds and are inspired to become scientists or philosophers. We help older adults to take that biology class they had always wanted to take and never had the time for, or start that project they had always wanted to create. And yet, for all those things that we do, we have only begun to scratch the surface of what is possible. We need to do much more. And we cannot do it alone. We need all hands on deck. We need everybody's help. We need to turn all our classrooms into modern spaces for learning and exploration. We need to develop new learning technologies to help our faculty's ideas reach many more students, to change many more lives. We need to find ways to help many more students have meaningful global experiences. We need to multiply the number of labs, equipment, and resources for our faculty to continue to make breakthrough discoveries. We need to dramatically increase our scholarship funds and our graduate research assistantships. We need new spaces where inventors, scientists, and entrepreneurs can build new businesses and social enterprises. We need to modernize some of our flagship buildings to better serve our community. By the way, we're taking naming donations for the Patriot Center. Sorry. And this is, by the way, only one portion of our list. We're now working on a strategic plan that is going to create a complete list of items that we want to accomplish, but we need all hands on deck. We need everybody to help. We need students, first of all, to be active and engaged learners, to help one another succeed, to maintain this precious environment of mutual respect, of collaboration, to be committed to building their alma mater into the future. We need alumni to publicly express their fondness, their pride for George Mason. We need them to serve as mentors to those who are following in their footsteps. We need alumni who recognize better than anyone the value Mason had in their lives, to accept the charge of building a great university for those who come behind them. We need the support of businesses, government, and community leaders. We need businesses to partner with us. We need government to strengthen us. We need philanthropists to invest in us. With your help, what I can assure you is that the faculty and the staff of this university are ready to meet the challenge and build a university that will continue to make us proud and help us become a better society. Since I arrived last July, I've been so impressed by the caliber, the dedication of my professional colleagues and our faculty. In fact, during the vision process, I asked them to think about what are the values that helped us get here and that will help us move the university into the future. And we made some agreements. We said, we need to keep students as our very top priority in everything we do. We need to remain committed to innovation and to inclusion. We need to hold one another accountable to the highest ethical and professional standards. We need to protect freedom of thought and expression. We need to create an environment where we can all thrive, and we need to show to everybody that we're great stewards of the resources our society has entrusted us with. On behalf of my colleagues, I will assure you, we are ready for the challenge. With your help, we will make George Mason University as strong as our community wants us to be, so we can help our community do better and be better. Universities do all sorts of wonderful things. We search for truth, we teach, we learn, we write, we invent, we perform, we cure, we create. We ask many questions, we answer some. We challenge our society to do better, to be better. So in this process of crafting this vision, we asked ourselves, how would we describe our mission, our role in one simple sentence? And this is what we agreed to. We said, we are an innovative and inclusive academic community that is committed to creating a more just, free, and prosperous world. Now, those are more than words. What's very peculiar about that mission statement is that it is written in terms of the value we need to create for society. It doesn't specify our ambitions in terms of the resources we want to secure. Our ambitions are the impact we want to have in the world. When you ask many colleagues in higher education to define their ambitions, what many people will tell you is normally they will reproduce a very lofty goal saying, we want to be the best university in some category or another. The best university in sciences, in arts, the best university in the state, in the nation, the best university in the world. That's what we normally do. In our conversations, we said, what if we flipped that a little bit? What if instead of defining our goal as trying to be the best university in the world, we promise one another that what we're going to try to do is become the best university for the world. That's our goal. We now need to just get to work. Thank you very much.